Good evening and Happy New Year. I'd like to call the January 6, 2022 council meeting to order. Do we have any special intentions? Mayor's on.
I want to keep Chad Pitfield's mother in our thoughts and prayers. She is in the hospital. Stable condition, but she is suffering from some things right now, and we want to keep her in our thoughts and prayers. He is our deputy CEO, and just remember.
Thank you. Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to ask everyone to keep in their prayers District 1 resident, Ms. Chandra Robinson McKnight, a friend of mine from the neighborhood growing up through Buddy Lawson, passed from a long-term illness that she had. So I asked you to keep her and her family in your prayers. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Segura.
Thank you, Council President. I'd also like to have everyone keep in their prayers a longtime Kenner businessman, Mr. McKinley Cantrell. His son passed away, and nobody likes to have their kids pass before they do, so I feel the sorrow him and his family have. So please just keep the Cantrell family in your...
Councilman Wilmot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask that you please keep Gene Costanis, recently passed away, longtime school board member, resident of Kenner, and the father of our councilwoman, McKinney. And we ask that you keep the family of him in your prayers as well. And also, my father's been hospitalized now over 30 days. It's been difficult on him and of course the family. We're very concerned about him, his recovery, and he seems to be doing well. We're hoping that he may be blessed and get out of the hospital maybe 10 days or so from now. So that's our prayer and request. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Wilmot. I think you read my notes. See, I was going to mention Mr. Costanis myself, but anyway. All right. Councilmember McKinney, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
The pledge or the prayer?
The prayer, pardon me. Right church, wrong pew.
Yes, Council President. If you bow your heads. Lord, thank you for this day and the opportunity to come together to make decisions for our community and work together for the best of Kenner. On this day, please give us direction, fortitude, and grace to deal with anything that may lay ahead. May we seek your guidance and work steadfastly in your name. Amen.
Amen. Councilmember Wilmot, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. In accordance with Council Resolution Number B14550, please be advised that all cellular telephones and other devices of this nature must be deactivated or silenced throughout the council meeting. You have a quorum this evening. We have correspondence, reports from the mayor, CAO, or department heads.
Thank you. Mayor's on.
Thank you, Council Chairman. I want to talk about, first of all, we have a few speakers, but shouldn't be too long, but we had a great announcement yesterday at Chateau Country Club on the treasure chests moving to land through the work of Boyd Gaming, this administration, you all, particularly Councilman Hayes of District 3, where we'll go into the parking lot. $95 million project coming on land by the end of 2023 is a huge economic impact for the city of Kenner. I want to thank the council people that attended. I think it was a good showing. Also, our state senators and the state representatives, and also our parish councilwoman, Jennifer Van Rankin, showed up. So it shows support from many other parts of the parish and the state, and we are moving forward with that with them. I want to thank this council, like I did yesterday, for approving that contract and allowing this to move forward, because this will generate at least another $1 million for the city of Kenner, for you all, and also for the Kenner Police Department, but also to generate some tourism dollars on something we've worked out with the Treasure Chest Boyd Casino, Boyd Gaming. So those are good things that are happening in the city of Kenner at the end of 2023. We announced before the end of the year things happening in Rivertown, the hub. So at two ends of the city of Kenner, South Kenner and North Kenner, we have a lot going on in the next couple of years. I'm going to call on Doug Dote to do a COVID update, and that'll be followed by Tamithia to do an unmet need assessment. She will come up and talk about that. But first, we will call on Doug, because the governor did have a press conference today, and it's something we need to be aware of.
Thank you. Mr. Dote?
Thank you, council members. It's been over a month ago that I appeared before the council and advised of the first case of Omicron that was being reported in the United States. And over the past month, the variant has spread at unprecedented pace throughout the country. Louisiana has had 10,403 new COVID cases on Wednesday, with 9 new deaths. Another 14,077 new cases and 12 deaths were reported today. Today's number of cases sets a single-day record since the pandemic began. That's a 7-day average of 6,880 cases per day. State officials report about 90% of all COVID cases are now Omicron-related, and that the remaining 10% are Delta-related. About 1 in 5 people taking the Omicron test are testing positive. That's 20% positivity rate. As of Wednesday, 1,287 people were hospitalized, and the number increased another 135 today. That's about 5 times the amount a month ago and twice the number from just 1 week ago. Locally, 1,203 new cases were reported by Jefferson Parish Wednesday, and another 1,397 cases today. The 7-day average for the parish is currently 1,080 cases per day. 1 death was reported today in Jefferson Parish. The death rate is currently about 0.43 deaths every 7 days. To demonstrate the rapid spread of Omicron, LDH calculates the COVID testing positivity rate in Jefferson Parish in mid-December was 4.8%. By the week of 12/16 to 12/22, it was 16.7%. And the week of 12/22 to 12/29, it was 34.9%. As of Wednesday in Region 1, and that's Orleans, St. Bernard, Plaquemines, and Jefferson parishes, there were 389 people hospitalized with COVID, with 71 in the ICU. 106 were breakthrough cases. According to the federal and state public health authorities, the Omicron surge is presently predicted to last at least an additional 2 to 4 weeks. As we've seen throughout the COVID pandemic, we must remain organizationally flexible in order to deal effectively with the frequently changing conditions and recommended actions. The Omicron variant has brought its own unique challenges to the city's pandemic response. On December 27th, the CDC changed its recommendation for the post-positive isolation period to 5 days, with an additional 5-day masking period. And on January 4th, just 2 days ago, the agency updated the guidance with an added recommendation for a rapid test at day 5. So the conditions are changing, as are the recommendations. They're changing almost daily. A lack of testing resources is the most obvious overriding concern right now. It's a nationwide issue. Tests are difficult to find in pharmacies and clinics, and hospitals are overwhelmed by patients seeking them. While efforts are being made to stand up public testing sites throughout the country, we can probably expect shortages of testing supplies regionally for at least another couple of weeks, according to state and federal officials. Testing sites will continue to have long lines for now, and persons visiting medical clinics should expect long waiting periods. This is what the governor talked about today, is the impact on our healthcare system, and that's driving a lot of the concern on the state and federal level. We know that COVID in its latest form is here in high numbers throughout every census tract in the city, and the number of individuals affecting COVID are certainly a concern to us all. We probably all know somebody who's been affected by it. But like I said, the biggest concern is the larger concern for our community and the community as a whole is the ongoing stress on our healthcare system. And that's what the governor spoke about today, asking people to please refrain from going to the hospitals unless they had to because of the stress on that system. Due to the rapid spread of Omicron based on CDC and LDH guidance, we're taking some reasonable measures at our facilities in an effort to slow the spread of the disease and protect residents and employees utilizing our municipal facilities. Our facility use and employee reoccupation efforts remain consistent with the latest guidance and can be adjusted going forward as needed. So for now, masks are required inside of all city facilities. Our General Services Department is conducting enhanced cleaning at public access facilities. With both storm impact and the emergence of Omicron, our priority remains continuity of government and continuity of departmental operations. Our Human Resources Department is tracking COVID cases reported by employees and coordinating with our occupational health provider to ensure our employees receive appropriate medical advice. Staffing impacts are being monitored and reported daily by department directors, and any scheduling and staffing adjustments are being made with every effort to minimize disruption of services. As to the current status of our municipal operations, we continue to press forward with a wide variety of IDA-related recovery activities at all levels within the city government. This includes daily recovery coordination group meetings and constant communications with a host of departments and service providers involved in long-term recovery efforts throughout the city. Our department heads also continue to meet with FEMA, GOSEP, DEQ, Army Corps of Engineers, and all the other agencies that we're dealing with to address our recovery needs. All municipal departments are currently fully operational, although we are seeing some staffing impacts in some of our departments, including finance, fire, public works, code enforcement, and general services. Some workplace modifications have been required in a few offices that are not capable of supporting minimal social distancing guidelines established by the CDC because of physical limitations. We are adjusting some office and field assignments, including hours of work, utilizing alternative scheduling to reduce risk to individual employees where it's necessary. Aside from the IDA-damaged buildings, some of our operational facilities have compromised HVAC systems, and so we've had to temporarily relocate staff to a few remaining buildings until repairs are made. Despite some staffing shortages, our field personnel continue to be occupied with a large amount of remediation and repair work at numerous city buildings and recreational facilities. And they're engaged in debris collection as well as other activities and continue to address a normal day-to-day street, wastewater, and drainage issues. OEM, my office is working with our fire and police departments along with the State Department of Health and hospitals to prioritize testing supplies for our police and fire and public safety support personnel. Our priority is to return our first responders to duty as soon as possible, maintaining sufficient staffing levels for all of our critical services. The administration is also actively seeking out opportunities to acquire and provide testing supplies for all of our city employees as soon as those resources become available. This will further serve our continuity initiatives. We're conducting mostly in-person meetings within city facilities with occasional Zoom conferences when necessary. The Emergency Operations Center continues to monitor COVID activities on a daily basis. We continue to operate an IDA call center answering residents' questions. And we participate in weekly White House task force meetings with the CDC. We are reviewing daily statewide, regional, and parish level and local census track COVID data provided by the LDH. And we provide that weekly information to you, council members, as well as the administration. We communicate daily with the Incident Command and the Kenner Office Reoccupation Plan work group on developing trends and recommended actions. As it's done consistently throughout the pandemic and the storm, our Kenner Media team and Public Information Office is utilizing social media and other means to push out timely information to a wide audience concerning any departmental or public meeting schedule changes, also announcing resources available to our residents. So if we do see in the future where we have to make any adjustments, that information will be pushed out as much as possible on our social media sites. In addition to our own staffing issues or challenges, it must be recognized that a number of our vendors and contractors have also begun experiencing COVID-related impacts. These impacts have resulted in some delay of services, primarily those affecting the field operations area. The city administration is closely monitoring critical contracts. The administration consistently or continually assesses local conditions, reviews current CDC and LDH guidance, and inspects our city facilities to determine if any additional actions are needed to be taken to reduce the risk to our employees and the community from the latest variant. As we've seen, as we have throughout COVID over the past 2 years, we are addressing the pandemic in a coordinated fashion, utilizing our planning, information exchange, and some collaborative decision-making across all departments within the municipality. We continue to remain flexible and able to pivot our operations in order to adequately address any unforeseen change in circumstances resulting from the latest variant. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I see none, Mr. Dote. Thank you. Ms. Shaw?
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to come to you and just to give you an update on our efforts to secure funding for our post-Ida briefings. As you all know, we've reported before, we had an opportunity after the storm to meet with the HUD Secretary. She came down to visit with Representatives, U.S. Representatives Scalise and Carter. We were able to tell them the needs that we could express at that time as to the city of Kenner that we had before us. We've also had an opportunity to go before the Jefferson Parish Council as they're the recipient of the ARP funding for the parish. So we had an opportunity to explain to them what the needs are that we have. So in moving forward to secure even more funding, we all know that there was legislation by Congress that allowed funding for Hurricane Ida. It's about $2.5 billion. Now with this $2.5 billion, we'll be sharing it, as I explained before, with the states that were impacted. And when you get to Louisiana, it's about 25 parishes that's going to share. Now, it's not going to be an even amount because some parishes suffered more than the others. And in Kenner being the 8th largest city, we want to make sure that we get our share. So what we've been doing since that time is to look at how we can get that funding, and we've been working to gather data. Because with HUD funding, you have to establish a tieback to IDA and show your unmet need. What the unmet need is, after the city of Kenner receives insurance, after they receive any money from FEMA, what else do we need to be done? Because we have many challenges, we're going to have a lot of ask for HUD when it comes to this. So some of the things that we're going to be looking at is our public infrastructure, what worked and what didn't work. So we're going to be looking for the damage assessments, the type of assets, the type of damage, the number of customers impacted, and the estimates for restoration, repair, upgrade. We've been working with the various departments to get that information now to put into this document that we are developing. Also, looking at the number of service requests received after the storm to see what people needed after the storm to establish our unmet need. Also, details on cell service loss. That was one of the big things. People can't contact anyone after that time. Now, when we did go before Jefferson Parish Council's committee for the ARP funding, one of the things that the council chairman, Scott Walker, expressed was his desire to have funding for cell service at each gymnasium, because that's a central place in every community that people can go to and at least try to access internet service. So there was a request that not only just those gymnasiums in Jefferson Parish, but also to include the municipalities. So that ask is there already. And then also, we're going to be getting information on details on dependencies on other systems not controlled by the city of Kenner. One of the things we know was the water, the fact that our water was cut off because of the low pressure. So we're going to be looking at that. So we're going to be working with several departments to gather this information so that when the state, because the money will come to the state from HUD, they have to put a master plan together. What we would like to do is make sure that the needs or the unmet needs of the city of Kenner are represented. And that's all I have for you right now until we develop this document fully. Are there any questions that you may have at this time?
See none. Thank you, Ms. Shaw. Mayor?
Now I'd like to call on Mr. Charles Lalonde to talk about a flyer for recreation.
Good evening, everyone. Just giving you some updates. We've reached the stage at some locations, a few locations, where we're ready to start taking down some of the downed light poles that are into playing fields at some of the playgrounds, and also some other damaged structures like bleachers, things like that. So it's at various locations, particular fields at particular playgrounds. So it's kind of it's not a real extensive list at this point, but it's enough for us to start clearing some fields where we can have some things to use. Just to let you know, I know all you guys received an email today, as well as went out to about 8,500 email addresses who have used RecDesk in the past. We've had over 3,100 people open that email already today, and of the programs that were offered and opened at noon today, all 4 of the tumbling classes are sold out. One of the martial arts is sold out. The others are intermediate and advanced levels, so you have to take the beginner in order to take those. The Mardi Gras painting class is not quite sold out, but it's close. And then a kids' night out, which would allow parents to go out for Valentine's Day. We still have a little time, so I think people, as it gets closer to Valentine's, will make that decision. Also coming up fairly soon, our soccer program will be back in session in February. As soon as we get a gym completely cleared and green lighted, we will try and do at least a short season for basketball and come back and possibly offer a summer league for basketball. Kickball's going pretty well. We had 3 weeks in December. We're coming back for 4 weeks in January for this session before it reopens. We had over 130 kids sign up for kickball. And of course, as spring sports come, closer to April and May, we'll have baseball, softball, and beach volleyball available. Any questions?
Councilman Carroll?
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Charles, for that report. Can you be a little bit more specific? You say it wasn't that many playgrounds that are having some infrastructure or...
Sure. What we have right now is, I would say Wentwood Gym is probably the closest to being open, as soon as we can get a portion of that floor back down. So it's pretty close, I would say, a few weeks on that, on Wentwood Gym. Then at Bertolino, there are 3 different specific locations at Bertolino that we have to look at. One is, one field has a game light pole that is through a dugout and actually laying on a playing field. So our crews are going to start working on removal of that. There's enough reporting that has been done, that has been given to FEMA and the insurance, so we're clear to start moving a few of those things that have been sitting on top of other items. So as that starts getting cleared, then we can do actual cosmetic repairs to the field, such as the outfield fences and the backstops. Once those are playable, we're able to play baseball in the spring.
Yeah, and to be a little bit more specific, as it relates to District 1, Buddy Lawson, Lincoln Manor, and Susan Park, without much details, I'd like to know the status. Now, I wasn't able to attend when they had a walkthrough or whatever. I'd like to schedule that with you.
Sure.
For Buddy Lawson, Lincoln, and Susan Park.
Yes, sir.
But as far as right now, the facilities, if you can just say the gym and just the gym and playground, the status of
Yeah,
those 3.
all of the gyms, the floors were picked up through the remediation process. Those are sport courts, so they're all in squares that actually snap together. So all those were picked up and stacked. It's just a matter of, once they finish all of the process, including whatever we're waiting on from FEMA and insurance, then those courts would be put back together and placed on there. The one court that was not completely picked up was Buddy Lawson. Only a portion of that was picked up, and I believe, Ms. Foshi, if I'm correct, they found asbestos below the court, correct? So that was the reason that's still in process of I guess, not a holdup, but essentially we're waiting on a full green light to put the court back down. But Buddy Lawson's field, the main field, has been that was the first field we opened back up. Many organizations from around, travel teams, things like that, had inquired about renting it. Unfortunately, all of the light poles along the west side, the third baseline, essentially, none of those turn on. So we could only offer it to them in daylight, which didn't work well by the time kids were out of school because it was starting to get dark. So we did have a few teams use it on a Saturday morning, but not very many. But that was one of the first fields we actually were able to use post-storm.
Yeah, and just to make sure that I'm clear, so the floors at Buddy Lawson Gym, Susan Park Gym, and Lincoln Manor Gym are not completed,
Not completely down, no, sir.
not completely down?
Correct.
And the playgrounds, any particular
There's-
status?
Well, there's certainly a number of light poles that are still leaning that all have to be checked by the lighting company in terms of either straightening them and reaffirming them into the ground or taking them down completely and replacing them.
Is that energy or is that contracted from the
We
city?
work with Blocher.
Okay, for the light poles.
Yes, sir.
And as far as the floors, the court floors,
They were picked up by Southern Cat, which was one of the mediation companies that came in, the third-party company that came in. So they took up all the floors, including the two gyms that had wood floors, which were Gladys and Bertolino. Portion of Gladys and all of Bertolino's floor were taken up.
any
to
type
damage.
of schedule as far as when when the floors at all three will be, nothing definite, but any type of time frame, 1 month, 2 weeks?
I have
3
not
weeks?
been given any timeline. I can certainly ask them when they return to
Yeah.
our morning meetings and get back with you on those particular facilities. I can tell you again, just to I guess, repeat it, is that Wentwood is probably the closest to
Okay.
being open again.
Yeah, I like for you to ask and also to let me know.
Yes,
for
sir.
those three facilities, I would appreciate that.
Sure.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Mr. Lane.
And now we'll have Deborah Foshee talk about the building updates and also debris update that would have been done by Chad Pitfield, but he's not here, and two other items on our agenda. Deborah?
Yes, thank you very much. Let me just make sure I got this. Okay. So, and I apologize for reading, there was just a whole lot to report to you guys today. All right, so the debris report, the emergency contract for debris collection is complete. The final totals are vegetative debris, 139,202 cubic yards. Construction and demolition unreduced collected debris is 100,705 cubic yards. Reduced, basically they compact it on site before they haul it off, 48,389. Because this is paid for by cubic yard, we save substantially by the fact that they had on-site operations at the Pontchartrain Center, basically reducing the C&D waste. Wood chips, that's basically they were chopped. I don't know if y'all saw this, but it was a huge tub grinder, and they were dropping stumps and things in there. 38,765 cubic yards of wood chips. There are some hauling operations remaining at the Pontchartrain Center, but it is largely cleaning up the debris field. And then we will seek reimbursement from FEMA for damages caused to the parking lot as a result of the debris operation in that parking lot. IV is now doing all of the collection, and reports as of today are that they are caught up on all the piles that have been reported. If you or someone you know has a debris pile or see a debris pile, please report that to idadebris@kenner.la.us. Let me repeat, idadebris@kenner.la.us. Doug gave an update on this particular strain of COVID. This has probably hit our workforce worse than any other period, including the beginning of the COVID pandemic. While the turnaround is quicker, 5 days instead of the 14, there are more people out at the same time than we've ever had before. Many of our departments are down to skeleton crews. One department, which is normally here, is like 100% in quarantine. So we're all taking the precautions proposed very seriously and appreciate everything that everyone's doing to try to help us get past this. Sewer work within your district, a report was sent to you today. That's a monthly report. We have Joanne Masoni here today if anyone reviewed the report and has any questions, and if not, if you take a look at the report and have any questions between now and the next council meeting, please feel free to give her a call. Doesn't mean that she's not available to answer specific questions, but she goes to the trouble of breaking it out by district and sending you just one for your district. And I don't know, I'm looking at Councilman McKinney, does at-large get everything or no? No. So, Ms. Massoni, if you're here, if you could also make copies of 1 through 5 and give them to both at-large council members, thank you. The insurance report from the public adjuster, Mr. Estevez, is that there will be a meeting with the insurer at the end of January to review the status of claims. A roof evaluation is required before any further funds will be released to us, and that's being performed by Linfield, Hunter, and Junius. And that is because roofs older than 2009 are only eligible for 50% insurance replacement. The balance will be sought from FEMA. Younger than 2009, and they're eligible for 100% insurance replacement. So basically, the holdup at this point, holdup is not accurate, but the next step in the process before we will receive any additional funds is for us to provide that roof age report, which is being done by the engineers. Let's see next. Macy's is being appraised this week for rental value. We'll have a better idea of the actual emergency cost when that is finished. I know a number of people have asked. I would really like to be able to answer that for you. The first 45 days is being reimbursed at 100% by FEMA, and the rest is 90%, but FEMA will not pay more than fair market value. So if the landlord seeks to recover more than fair market value, FEMA is only going to pay for 90% of fair market value after 45 days, and the 100% during the first 45 days is, again, fair market value. And so the appraisal is the best way to determine that. There won't be much of a fight after that. This is being negotiated by David Sherman of the Hardy-Sherman firm, and even at the highest proposal that he has received, which we think is too high, we're still working on it, but at the highest proposal we have received, the first 45 days would be zero, and every month thereafter would be $6,100 a month. So that's the rental. We still have to pay utilities and everything else, which we pay regardless of where we are. FEMA will be coming to inspect all city buildings, though we cannot request funding from them until for reconstruction, until the insurance company has paid all undisputed claims. So it's important that we get as much as we can at the meeting at the end of this month once the roof report is in. As a result of the Joe Caldera presentation regarding the cost of repair exceeding the building values for A, B, and C, we discussed with the council in a sort of a general way. There was no vote or anything. We just discussed at that meeting the desire to build back better at the 1801 Williams site. We would like to actually ask the council to take some sort of action, resolution, something, just to instruct us to proceed. Right now, we're just operating based on the fact that we had a lot of people nodding and agreeing with Mr. Caldera. But if that is the council's intention for us to go and try to build back at the 1801, we would very much appreciate that sort of a resolution, because that gives us the guidance to move forward. If we build back at 1801, or if we build anywhere, but building back at 1801, it's a couple of years out from the final settlement with insurance and FEMA to get the construction complete. I think that's what Mr. Caldera told us. So we need to ask you guys on the sort of long-term interim. Short-term interim, this was the only place to go. There was no place but this that we could go. But now gymnasiums, for example, are starting to come back online. And I've heard from some of you that you thought perhaps a gymnasium might be a better location, or gymnasiums, plural, might be better locations for city operations. I guess at this point, we just would like to know what the council needs to hear from us so that you can make that determination. I mean, this is the emergency location, but if you want to have some other place for the next 2 years while we're building back 1801, we'd like to know what you would like to hear from us so that you can make that decision. We also need the decision made about gymnasiums in particular, because if we are going to be using, at your request, gymnasiums for city function, that will also affect where we can put recreational programming back. Remember, some of these gymnasiums aren't really ours. It's our building, but it's on school board property. So those would probably not be eligible for us to move city operations into. But as the others come back online, if we conclude that, again, there may be things you want to hear. I know the IT department would like to speak to you about the cost associated with setting up multiple there's no IT person here, multiple systems at these locations. So I'm sure there's cost associated with staying as well as cost associated with going. So I just really would like to be prepared to provide you with whatever information it is you need so you can make that determination. So we've got the immediate emergency, which is this. Now we've got sort of a long-term interim, right? The 2 years it's going to take to rebuild back. and then the rebuild back. So we're looking to you for your guidance in terms of how you would like us to proceed in this interim period. We did look, as you may recall, at a trailer option early on. Now, early on, they really weren't available, and when they were available, they were so ridiculously expensive. I think it was $2 million down and $200,000 a month. The supply chain may have loosened up a little bit, and the cost may have become more reasonable. So if that's also something you would like us to look into, we certainly can provide that information to you. Ultimately, it is up to you, and we respect that, and we look to you for your guidance and instruction in terms of how you would like us to proceed. Finally, I want to talk about sexual harassment. In the 2019 legislature, the state revised the sexual harassment law. Sexual harassment is illegal. It's always been illegal. But in 2019, after a number of high-profile claims, the state legislature required that every governmental agency create a policy setting forth a number of items, including the process by which a sexual harassment complaint is filed. When this occurred it passed in 2018, it became effective in 2019. The city's legal department looked at it and concluded basically the city's existing sexual harassment policy was sufficient and met those needs. And while it is, in fact, in many ways sufficient, it is not sufficient if the claim is against a council member or anyone in the council's office. I have provided for you, just so you can take a look, the city's harassment policy, the state legislature's harassment policy, and then the third item is just some statistics in terms of the number of claims that go unreported, the number of things that a failure to act promptly leads to it leads to a belief that we will not take action if a complaint is raised. So we have attempted to figure out the best way to bring this to you, and have concluded this is really the only way to bring this to you. Efforts to do it other ways have failed. So what we would ask is that the council make a decision about how they would like to proceed in terms of having a policy. Our policy clearly states that the agency head, or the state law says agency head, ours says director or appointing authority. Clearly, you council members have no appointing authority. So if there were a claim filed, we wouldn't know who to send it to. And if a finding were made, we would not know who to turn it over to. So at this point, since it appears, according to some interpretation, that our policy does not apply to the council, and that the council is obligated under the 2019 law to have a policy, we would ask you to look at this, and whether that is to provide some modification to our policy to make it very clear that it would be the council chairman or the council vice chairman or a designee of the council. But some methodology has to be created, because we cannot have a complaint lodged and have no way to take action. So at that point, I would like whoever wants to work with the parish, the city attorney, we would really like to have something on the agenda for first reading at the next council meeting, so we'll know how to proceed. And that's it.
Councilman Skewer?
I have two policies, but they're both from the State House of Representatives.
Oh, well, I should have given you one from the city. I will trade you after the meeting for one from the city. The city policy, the reason to give you the state policy, largely that language would affect you investigating a complaint within your department. In other words, a staff member complains about a council member, or a council member complains about another council member. So that's when it's wholly within your department. Here what we have is how do we address a city employee who falls under our policy, but the appointing authority or the director or whoever is the identified as the person to talk to is within the council's department. So we need, I apologize for not giving that to you, but if you take a look at our policy and see if there's something that we could do to amend that, to make it more clear, so that this sort of a claim, this sort of a claim could move forward.
Once I get it, I'll be happy to continue looking at it and work toward some alternative suggestions.
Is that all, Ms. Foshee?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Mayor?
We're done.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Under resolutions, motions, and other items from the floor, I have received a request from Councilmember Wilmot to amend the agenda to include a resolution requesting that the House of Representatives maintain the City of Kenner's 2 House of Representatives seats when it redistricts. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to object? Please come forward. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney, to amend the agenda to add item 13A as read by the clerk. Council members, please vote. Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0 to amend the agenda. Under the consent agenda, I have item 1, approval of minutes, the regular council meeting of December 17, 2021. Item 2 is approval of alcoholic beverage permit applications. We have none. Item 3 is approval of bingo and public gathering applications. Item 3A is application number 2253-22, Driftwood Park Civic Association to hold a public gathering on February 12, 2022, from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. for the purpose of a parade throughout the Driftwood subdivision in Kenner, Louisiana. Item 3B is application number 2254-22, the City of Kenner to hold a public gathering on January 17, 2022, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the purpose of a Martin Luther King Jr. annual celebration and commemoration at the A.P. Clay Resource Center at 200 Decatur Street in Kenner, Louisiana. That concludes the consent agenda. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. On the consent agenda, council members, please vote. Councilman Segura?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0 on your consent agenda. Under the public appearance agenda, we have item 8, public hearings, final passage. Item 8A is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,877, an ordinance amending the 2021-2022 operating and capital budgets to fund 2 part-time recreation department employees to assist at Musbertolino Playground, and amending ordinance number 7549. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan and seconded by Councilmember Brennan for a 2-meeting deferral. Any discussion? Seeing none, council members, please vote. Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segura?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 8B is a public hearing regarding summary ordinance number 12,933, an ordinance amending the 2020-2021 operating budget to comply with Louisiana Revised Statute 39:1310-1311 due to an increase in sales tax collections. I have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Carroll, to open the public hearing. Council members, please vote. Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yes.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segura?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. We're now on a public hearing. Is there anyone from the audience wishing to address the council? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Seeing none, I have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Carroll, to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
Kenny?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segura?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. I have a motion by Councilmember Hayes, seconded by Councilmember Carroll for approval. Any discussion? Seeing none, council members, please vote. Councilman McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segura?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 8C is a public hearing regarding a resolution authorizing a public hearing and approving amendment number 1 to the fiscal year 2021 annual action plan of the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program for the Community Development Department. I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to open your public hearing. Council members, please vote. Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segura?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Please come forward. Ms. Tamithia Shaw.
Good evening, Council. This amendment is solely because one of the items in the action plan we can't move forward with. HUD requires us to allocate all funding, so we have
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Seeing no further discussion, I have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to close the public hearing. Council members, please vote. Councilman Carroll?
Yay.
Segur?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Have a motion by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Brannigan, to approve. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, council members, please vote. Councilman Segur?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 9 is ordinances for the sale, purchase, transfer, lease, and/or alienation of a movable property. We have none. Item 10 is opening of bids. We have none. Item 11 is reclassification of zoning for final passage. We have none. Item 12 is other ordinances for final passage. We have none. Item 13 is resolutions and motions by council members. Item 13A is a resolution requesting that the House Governmental Affairs Committee and the Louisiana House of Representatives maintain the City of Kenner's 2 House of Representatives seats when it redistricts. I have a motion by Councilmember Wilmot, seconded by Councilmember McKinney. Councilmember Wilmot?
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I just wanted to, the heading says it all, a resolution requesting that the House Governmental Affairs Committee and the Louisiana House of Representatives maintain the City of Kenner's 2 House of Representatives seats when it considers redistricting. That's what it does.
Councilman Segur?
I would just ask that myself, as well as any other council member, mayor, chief, be part of submitting this.
Yes, sir, I've
And
already.
I agree with that. If you,
Yes, sir, the clerk has
Commissioner
added all
Summy.
of the council members as submitted by.
and the chief and the
And
mayor.
also, right,
Mayor?
I was going to ask for myself, and I'm sure the chief wants to do it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We
please.
sure will.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Seeing no further discussion,
Thank
council members, please vote. Councilman Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segur?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 14 is items removed from the consent agenda. I have none. Item 15 is acceptance of contracts and similar matters approved by the mayor. Item 15A is summary ordinance number 12,931. An ordinance authorizing the utilization of Jefferson Parish contract number 55-19871 with First Responder Equipment and Uniform Distributors, LLC, T/A, APE Incorporated, and American Police Equipment Incorporated to purchase uniforms, athletic apparel, badges, dress uniforms, hats, caps, dress belts, shoes, name tags, and insignia on an as-needed basis in an amount not to exceed $390,249.35 for the life of the agreement for the Kenner Fire Department. I have a motion by Councilmember Segur, seconded by Councilmember Brennan. Any discussion? Councilman Segur?
Chief Morris, could you please? Just
Yes, sir.
explanation, I know this is, an annual contract, and this is just not to exceed this, but you can purchase on it throughout a year?
Yes, this is for the remainder of this fiscal year.
Fiscal year.
For uniforms for the individuals, they get a uniform allowance. It's a quartermaster system, so they have to utilize the funds at the stated location in order to purchase their needed uniforms.
Okay, and just for reference, I notice it doesn't cover socks and undergarments. Should we do that?
I don't think.
No, I'm just, you had everything else in here, that's why I was,
I don't think we need to do that, sir.
okay, well, never know. All right, thank you.
All right.
Like to refer you to the memorandum on the
Oh.
harassment thing, Councilman Segura, please.
That's why I was asking. I wanted to make sure they didn't say we were depriving them of it.
Madam Clerk? Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir. Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote on 15A. Councilman Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segur?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15B, summary ordinance number 12,932. An ordinance accepting the lowest responsive bid received from Beacon Air Conditioning, Heating and Refrigeration Incorporated to furnish and install 5-ton air conditioning system in VIP room / upstairs office of the new theater located at 325 Minor Street in accordance with letter bid number 21-1988 in the amount of $9,220 for the Department of General Services. I have a motion by Councilmember Brannigan, seconded by Councilmember Wilmot. Any discussion? Any questions? Seeing none, council members, please vote. Councilman Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney? Yay. Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segur?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 15C is a resolution ratifying change order number 3 to increase the contract amount and add calendar days, and change order number 4 to decrease the contract amount and cancel the building contract with Hubs Property LLC dated March 15, 2021 regarding renovations to the Annie Washington Transitional Housing Building for the Department of Community Development. I have a motion by Councilmember Segur, seconded by Councilmember Carroll. Any discussion? Mr. Morella, please state your name and address for the record.
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 50 years. I got a question on it. First of all, it's good that you come along and with a change order and you increase the amount, then you come with another change order and you decrease the amount. But what I'm looking at, was this not a responsible bidder to bid on this job? Why is the contract being canceled?
Ms. Shaw will answer those questions for you, Mr. Morella.
Council, explain what's going on. We were renovating the Annie Washington building to be used for a shelter. During the course of Hurricane Ida, the building was actually shifted. The contractor actually alerted us to it. We had the engineer who had been on the project go in, confirm it, and with the backup that went on to the agenda, it confirmed that the building, because of the damage done by Hurricane Ida, it would cost more to repair the building than to demolish it and start over again. I want to commend the contractor because they alerted us first. That meant that their contract was canceled, but they went in and they came and told us first that, and so we are moving to, but before Ida, there was money that they expended that we have to pay them for, but after we pay them that money, then we're decreasing the contract so we can then at that point cancel the contract, terminating for convenience, and thereafter they'll allow them, because they restored retainage, because every time there's a payment, we hold back money to make sure that they do it at the end. That's the only way that we can get them their money at the end, Ms. Morella. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shaw.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morella. Madam Clerk?
Seeing no further discussion, council members, please vote. Councilman McKinney? Yay. Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Segur?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 16 is ordinances and resolution. Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, all right, okay, sorry, y'all. Item 16 is ordinances and resolutions in summary for first reading. Item 16A is an ordinance authorizing the city of Kenner to enter into an intergovernmental agreement with East Jefferson Levee District to utilize the East Jefferson Levee District's west return wall, splash pad, and all-weather access road on the Lake Pontchartrain Hurricane Protection Levee and Kenner for recreational use. Item 16B is an ordinance amending Section 2-13 of the Kenner Code of Ordinances to mandate all public records requests be copied to the City Council within 5 days of receipt. Item 16C is an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, to revise and restate Article 7 to the Kenner Code of Ordinances as per the ordinance contained herein. Item 17 is reports from the council and our special committees.
Councilman Wilmot?
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a statement I'd like to read, and it's addressed to Mr. Richard Brown After carefully thinking through our last council meeting and knowing that Mr. Brown has taken a strong interest in Kenner City Council meetings for a very long time, regardless of how the law looks upon the situation that took place last meeting, I wanted to say I should have extended a courtesy to him and allowed him to speak, and I didn't. I extend my apologies to him for not doing so. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wilmot. Madam Clerk? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Carroll?
That's
pardon me.
okay. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to elaborate a little bit more on the legislation that was read earlier about January the 17th and a couple of Mondays from here that will commemorate the 40th year that the city of Kenner will be celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s celebration, his life and legacy. It is something that the city of Kenner has been involved with for over 40 years since the inception of it. So that is something we are proud of, that myself as a young man has been able to attend most of the events within the limits of the weather not being inclement. So I take pride in that. I take pride that the city will continue to do that. Obviously, over the last 2 years, we as a city, as a nation, had a limited response for the celebration. 1 year we could not do it. Last year, along with the support from the Kenner audio ladies, men, put on a fantastic Zoom presentation. But this year, we felt that it was important. It's important to be able to identify, to appreciate, to celebrate the accomplishments of Dr. Martin Luther King, and not only Dr. King, but many other people throughout the United States that helped civil rights for people to get better. So it is our responsibility to not let it go to the wayside and to be forgotten either via Zoom, which is okay, but it's not the same by having the community, the same by having the fellowship that we have all experienced for that, for people to come out who may not have ever been there to hear about certain aspects of Dr. King's life, some of his trials, tribulations, some of his family information. This is important, not only for myself and for everyone in this building, but for the generations that come behind us. And if we continue to have this celebration, it will be easier to pass on to individuals. So I look forward to the celebration on the 17th. It's going to start as traditionally 11 o'clock at the Providence Baptist Church, right at the Kenner line. Parade down to the AP Clay Center. And this year, because of the COVID concerns, it's going to be a modified program. But the program is never the main event, in my opinion. It is the march, it is the recognition for Dr. King and all of the things that everyone in this room are better for because of his life and legacy. So if you are able to make it on the 17th of January, we look forward to having you there. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item 18 is new business. Item 18A, at the request of the legal department, an executive session regarding the settlement demand for Tracy Fernandez versus the City of Kenner et al., case number 806-546, 24th JDC Division F, and the City of Kenner et al. Are the defendants in that action. Mr. Chairman, I have a motion by Councilmember Brennan, seconded by Councilmember Hayes, to remove this item at the request of the legal department. Council members, please vote on the removal. Councilman Wilmot?
Yay.
Carroll?
Yay.
Secure?
Yay.
Hayes?
Yes.
Brannigan?
Yes.
Brennan?
Yes.
McKinney?
Yay.
Motion passes 7-0. Item 19 is unfinished business and motions to reconsider or remove from a tabled position. Item 19A is summary ordinance number 12,916, an ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration to add Article 7 to the Kenner Code of Ordinances as per the ordinance contained herein. This ordinance This was the ordinance that was reconsidered on December 17, 2021, and deferred for one meeting. Mr. Chairman, at this time, the council clerk would like to make a point of clarification in regards to summary ordinance number 12,916. At the December 17, 2021 council meeting, there were two unnecessary motions taken in this regard, one for reconsideration and one for a one-meeting deferral. Therefore, the council clerk will now proceed with publishing this ordinance in the official journal in accordance with the charter. Just wanted to make the point of clarification. Is there any comments or questions in this regard?
Mr. Morella?
Mr. Morella?
Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 5th District, 50 years. First, I want to say I'm opposed to this ordinance. And I want to reiterate what I had to say at the last meeting. I support and will continue to support the mayor's veto. Now, I also want to say this. Thank you, Councilman Wilmot, eloquently put. The open meetings law is crystal clear when it comes to items on this agenda to be voted on. Now, if it's an item that that's not to be voted on, then there's no public comment. But anything on this agenda, whether it be a resolution, whether it be an ordinance or whatever, the public has a right to comment on it before the vote is taken. So, once again, Tom, I appreciate what you had to say, because you're absolutely right, and I agree with you. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taft?
Greg Tapp, 3720 West Loyola Drive. I too am opposed to this ordinance, but I'm opposed to it for a couple reasons. Number one, y'all have the budget in May 1st. I don't know why it would wait till the very last day or the day of the vote to finally determine, I want to make a bunch of changes. It doesn't make sense. It also doesn't fall in line, because if you make that change, as I understand it, now it has to be laid over as a result of it, because now you got to have public comment again. You already have public meetings. You should already be talking to your constituents. You should already have a grasp of what's in the budget. But to be able to say at the last, or right when we're going to vote, we're going to make these massive changes, which is what took place the last time. I don't think that's needed. I'm also concerned that when you come at the last minute and you make a bunch of changes like we did at the last time, to me, it has to put a tremendous amount of work on the finance department to get all of those changes made so that it can be done properly. The whole idea of having it already laid out is so that we already know what to expect. This ordinance, the citizens will never know until you go through the process, another reconciliation process, and then if you decide to make a change again, maybe the people, like this last time, might know a month or two later that we finally got a budget.
Thank you, sir.
All I'm saying is that what you have here, I understand that you're trying to build a framework. And I think that's possible. And I think there's a way to do it. This legislation isn't the answer. It may be part of it. But there's certain things that you have to take into consideration if you own a business or run a business.
Mr. Taft, your time is up, please.
Thank
you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Item 20 is persons wishing to address the council on special subject matters.
We have Mr. Greg Taft.
My time is up.
Mr. Al Morella.
My time's not up, it's just getting started. Al Morella, 4260 East Loyola Drive, 50 years. I want to start by talking about this issue with Walmart. I'm sure that when they set up shop in our city years ago, may have gotten, and they may have not have gotten, lucrative tax incentive. And if they did, then stipulations come with tax incentives. So I find it inconceivable that the world's second largest retailer can't afford to pay a security detail to protect itself and the shoppers, mainly the citizens of Kenner, who shop there. So I believe what we need to do now is see if they got a tax incentive package, to see if they agree to any stipulations, and if so, if one of those stipulations was to pay a security detail, then we need to move swiftly and hold their feet to the fire. Who they are, the world's second largest risk, doesn't mean a thing to me. You don't put profits and money over people's lives. We need to do something about this, man. We need to move on this, and we need to move on it quickly. Now, I want to direct this to the legal department. We talked briefly about the map, the redistricting map that was voted on in here a few months ago. Now, I want to get an update and find out if it's been approved by the DOJ. Because if it hasn't, my understanding at that meeting was that it is not in effect until it's approved by the DOJ. Can we get an update on that, young lady?
Actually, I'm sorry. How are you doing, sir? Happy New Year.
I'm doing fine. Same to you.
I don't know if you remember on the floor, we actually removed that because the DOJ, that department, it's unconstitutional. They're looking at it. So no approval was needed. We just needed to send
Okay.
it to the Secretary of State, which we did.
And the reason
All
why...
done.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
We're all done. I'm saying we're done.
Okay.
Right.
The reason why I'm asking you this, everybody's aware we got municipal elections coming up
Yes, sir.
in the city of Kenner.
Yes, sir.
And I don't want the people in District 5 over there on Duke Street, Georgetown, to think that now they're part of District 1. And I want to make sure they know that they still District 5 and they polling places Wentwood Playground.
The final say was this council. So DOJ doesn't have to approve. Whatever this honorable
Right,
council
so-
voted on is law.
So nothing is in effect right now. The
Whatever
districts
they
are the
voted
same.
on, whatever they voted on that day, that's in effect. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Nobody needed to approve it other than this council.
okay,
Thank you, Mr. Morella.
all right. Anybody got any comments, any questions? Thank you.
Seeing no one else, Madam Clerk, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.